Hi guys, hope you're well. It's Mitch here. I'm just coming on to do my Tarot and Oracle Sunday review video. So apologies that I haven't done this earlier in the day. I've had an absolutely amazing day teaching some beautiful souls the power, the art, the magic of tarot. So that's why I haven't sort of been on earlier today. But nevertheless, I'm here now, guys. So the deck I want to share with you today is the beautiful the Crystal Power Tarot, and this is a deck by Jayne Wallace, and its illustration is by Roberta Orpwood. And this is a 78 traditional tarot deck, and I don't know if you can see this sort of too well here. So this is published and printed by Seco Books. So we've got here on the back their logo. So it's an interesting box, quite a quirky sort of different box to what we've maybe encountered in videos so far. What's great is you've got some literature about the deck, and then you've got examples of the cards themselves, and they go right down the edge there. So it's a good quality box. Now, as we open this box up, we go into, so you've got the booklet here, and then you've got the cards themselves. So I'll pull the booklet out first. So we've got a beautiful, it is colour as well, so we've got a beautiful booklet which we'll look at a little bit more later. That's a lovely matte finish, that's really nice. And then the cards, they just pull out of this box here, so that's sort of how the setup is there. And then these are the cards themselves. Now, I will say, guys, the stock quality of these cards, they're really super thin. Look how bendy they are. They're really, really thin. So that is something I feel that does let this deck down. If you were using these regularly, they're not going to last very well. You'd have to be really, really careful with these. So that is, in my opinion, something that's a little bit negative. The stock quality isn't great. They're, for what they are, they're quite thin. It would have been better to have something of, a thicker quality. But nevertheless, they are still beautiful cards. So as we look at the back of the cards, I'll just make sure if that's the right way up, yeah. So these are the artwork on the back. So we've got this sort of crystal detail, which I love the artwork, the illustration of the back of the card. That's really beautiful. Now, these cards really are kind of in two sort of halves for me. I'm going to be honest, the artwork for the major arcana is really beautiful, it's really stunning, but it's almost like with the minor arcana, the four suits, it's like a little bit they forgot about them. So to give you an example, this is like the something from the major arcana. So this is the card of the moon. So you've got really, really beautiful artwork there, and what I love is each card has a crystal for reference. So in this case, the moon is rainbow moonstone, which would be the crystal of choice to work with for whatever situations the moon may present. And you also have a bit of an affirmation or a bit of a sort of quote reference to the card. So for instance, on this one, it says, "My intuition guides me to the right decision." So that's lovely. And I love that, really powerful stuff. But then with like the sort of traditional minor arcana, it's a little bit like they've just forgot about them. Because what we've got here is, this one is the Ten of Swords, and they're just lined up. So you haven't got too much to work with there in terms of picture format. Again, you've got your crystal of choice. So this one is Sugar Light. And we've got here the sort of affirmation is I see the truth in this ending. So that's kind of cool, and it gives you something to work with. But this in itself could be anything. So I really, really feel, for all the greatness of like the major arcana, the minor really lets it down. Like this one, Seven of Wands. They're really, really basic. Which is a real shame, because you've got, the artwork itself is still lovely, but I just feel like it really, really lets them down. Because when you go into like a major card, or like a court card, like this one's Page of Wands, you get something a little bit more interesting to work with. But then, you know, you go back to something really basic, and it's probably really hard to get too much from that. If I was reading these, I would really struggle to, if I didn't know traditional tarot, if I was just reading these on their own merit, I'd struggle to get anything from that. So I think that's a major letdown with these cards, I have to say, you know, which is such a shame, because like here's Seven of Cups, you know, really sort of basic, minimal. Yet you've got the Magician card here from the Major Arcana, an amazingly beautiful card. It's almost like in some ways they couldn't be bothered to kind of carry on this beautiful artwork, and it's like somebody got bored halfway through. So, and I don't mean to sound sort of negative with that, but it's just, I don't know, it really lets it down, because like here, Queen of Cups, the court cards again also look beautiful. Like this one, High Priestess, there's some amazing artwork, but it hasn't been carried all through. So I think that really devalues from the quality of it, I have to say. So whereas if they'd have followed that artwork through the whole time, it could have potentially been like a 9 or a 10. I think it brings it right down to like a 6, to be honest, you know. And it makes it very tricky, like the Hangman from the Major Arcana. Again, a beautiful card. If you were reading these yourself, I think you would really struggle, particularly if you're just starting out with tarot. It's just a real shame, because I just think, you know, to me it's a bit sloppy almost. And I know that probably sounds really negative, and up until this point I haven't really been too critical with the cards, but look at the beauty of the artwork in the Major Arcana. And to me it's just like, why would you not follow that through when you see how beautiful these actually are? I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. Personally, I'll be honest, you know, if I was designing this deck, I think this is a massive fault. But it is what it is, so we won't dwell on that too much. But I am just going to show you enough of these cards so you can get an idea. Trying to show you the more beautiful visual ones rather than the boring side of things. You know, like there, the Hermit, that's a beautiful image. Okay, what is good though is, again, they do sort of tell you with the crystal of choice, which is handy, because if you are somebody that's a crystal healer, or you're sensitive and work with crystal energy, then that side of things is going to be really fantastic for you. So just going to show you a couple more if I can, just to give you a bit of a, you know, so like these ones again, Pentacles, it's just really boring, because they're just, there's not much to work with, you know, they're almost all a similar format really. So let me just, oh, like this one, Ace of Wands. Yeah, so I don't know, a little bit disappointing, I think. But hey ho, it is what it is. So that is a negative in my opinion, I have to be honest. What I'm going to do, as ever, I'm going to pull a card for Sunday, but more importantly, because it's an afternoon video, for the week ahead. See what we need to know about, guidance to be given for the highest of good. Despite them being a thin stock quality, they do glide quite nicely in the hand. They're a good size, an in-between sort of size, not too big but not too small. They're a comfortable size, so I like that side of things, that's really good. I'm just asking for a card, for the highest of good for us for this moment in time. Let's see what we need to know about. Let's see what's going to come out. Oops, that's too many. We can't have all those. It's literally just too many that have sort of slung themselves out. Okay, the Death card's come out, so we'll have the Death card. Okay, the other one felt like it just slipped with it, but it felt like it was the Death card that needed to come out. So this is probably the prettiest version of Death card that I've seen for a long time in tarot. So it's saying here, Phantom Quartz would be what we would work with in terms of crystal. And it says here as an affirmation, I let go and embrace new beginnings. So I love the fact that there are affirmations you can do and you can bring into your world. That's amazing. I just really wished it was backed up all the way through. But let's look at the book. So again, a good quality book, lovely printed all coloured imagery. So again, that's really, really great. So what you get then on the page, just see if it says anything about the author at the start. Yeah, it gives a little bit of information at the start of the book, an introduction into how everything came to be with this deck, and then it kind of gives you examples of like the major and minor arcana, examples of how you can do spreads. So that's really cool. That's nice to have that. You know, there's quite a few examples of spreads in there, so that's good. So book-wise, the book is actually in some ways probably better than the cards, I think. But we have got a nice chunk of information, and again, it shows the image here of the crystal. So let's read what we've got. A tree stands tall at the threshold between seasons. The flowers signify summer growth, and the fallen leaves transition. The butterfly with the colours of the 7 chakras, and then it's just got here, see the full page 14, signifies fullness before endings. The seedling at the base of the quartz reveals the regeneration power of nature. The plant takes its energy from the tree's roots, which glimmer with phantom quartz crystals, stones of transformation. So it's really focusing on the crystal side of things. And then we've got meaning in terms of the card itself. A situation is coming to an end, and this ending may be out of our control. Death here is not physical death, but transition. This card therefore heralds necessary change that brings new beginnings and opportunities. You can now see the truth and let go, so events may take their natural course. An additional meaning of the card is decluttering and letting go of what no longer is needed. And then we've just got here a little bit of information about the crystal itself. Crystal phantom quartz is known as a deeply healing crystal associated with growth and transformation. Its phantom or ghost crystals magnify these properties. Linked with the root chakra, phantom quartz brings you security. Whenever you need to feel safe enough to release a situation or person, hold the card, focus on the phantom quartz, and breathe in its powerful grounding energy. And then power message or affirmation, I let go and embrace new beginnings. So I love the structure of the book. That's fantastic. And this particular card visually is amazing. It's just a real shame they haven't followed that through into the minor. I think that's a massive letdown. Whereas most decks follow the sort of traditional Rider-Waite story and values, they have really worked hard here to create something beautiful, but they've sort of stopped there. And whilst this is a fantastic message, a very powerful message, so take that for what it is, guys, because it's really important to have for this Sunday and moving into next week. If you were looking to purchase this deck, I will say that that is a downside. And for anybody that is perhaps just getting into tarot, it could potentially cause complications if you're not overly familiar. So it's just something to think about, something to bear in mind. You know, this would not be a deck that I work with, and it isn't a deck that I work with in a full-time manner, because unfortunately, whilst there is some beautiful artwork here, like this one for instance, absolutely beautiful, for me the minor arcana is its failure, you know. So whereas it could have been a 9 or a 10, it's brought it right down to almost like a 6. So it's not a deck that I'd be interested in working with in a full-time manner. This is literally a deck I purchased because I just wanted it in my collection, because I am an active tarot reader and collector of tarot. So something to bear in mind. The other thing as well, guys, I will say, is like the box. Whilst these go in, this is a little bit, in my opinion, this is a little bit scruffy. It doesn't necessarily sit comfortably. Sometimes the cards get a little bit jumbled. So it's just something to also bear in mind, you know. So the Crystal Tarot, it is a beautiful deck. But I do feel like they've cut a few corners here, which is a real shame, because the box itself, good quality, you know, lovely information on the back. It's just a real shame they didn't work a little bit harder on completing what I feel is almost like a half-finished tarot deck. But that's just my own opinion. You guys form your own. You might love it, But for some of the negative aspects, there's still some really great positive pieces to this deck, which is why I think it's still one worth having in the collection. But the Crystal Power Tarot by Jayne Wallace and illustrated by Roberta Orpwood. Do check it out, see for yourself what you think of it. I'm going to leave the energy of this with you. Have a fantastic evening, guys. Stay safe, stay well, much love and blessings, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.